New details that have been released in the U of U student Mackenzie Lueck murder case.
Police in Utah today confirmed what had been feared. Mackenzie Lueck was murdered.
Can true justice be served when an innocent life is taken? This is the shocking true story of Mackenzie Lueck, the 23-year-old University of Utah student whose disappearance in June 2019 led to a nationwide outcry. In this video, we'll follow the chilling timeline from her last known whereabouts to the sad discovery of her remains. If you'd like more true crime content, then please subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. With that said, let's take a look at the tragic story of Mackenzie Lueck. Mackenzie's journey on that fateful June night began like so many others. The University of Utah senior had recently lost her grandmother and was still grieving when she sent messages to her friends about her imminent return to Salt Lake City. Security footage showed Mackenzie, an industrious and bright-eyed scholar, deftly weaving through the bustling concourse to collect her luggage. After the death of her grandmother, Mackenzie demonstrated an unwavering will to return to normalcy. But what she had no way of knowing was that she would soon become the center point of another tragedy. Entering the vehicle that would ferry her away from safety and into the arms of danger, Mackenzie made a choice based on trust. Yet this trust was woefully misplaced. Thankfully, the digital breadcrumbs she left behind would provide a clue to investigators trying to unravel what went wrong. The investigators working the case would painstakingly piece together the harrowing last hours of Mackenzie's life and sketch out a grim portrait of the man who would emerge as her assailant. On June 17, 2019, Mackenzie left California for Salt Lake City, Utah. While in California, she had been on dating websites, and this was where she met Ayoola Ajayi. They started talking and soon developed a connection with Ajayi, asking Mackenzie to come see him in Salt Lake City. When Mackenzie arrived that fateful day, she took a Lyft to Hatch Park where she had agreed to meet Ajayi. Sadly, she had no idea that Ajayi had sinister plans for their meeting. When discussing with the driver, Mackenzie said she was going to meet up with a friend and arrived at Hatch Park at around 3:00 a.m. Meanwhile, Ajayi knew exactly what he planned to do, and he took steps to ensure that he could get away with it. Before Mackenzie arrived at his home, he turned off the video on his home security system so it wouldn't record her entering his home. Once she was in his home, he bound her hands and tried choking her with his hands. He would then strangle her with a belt until she fell unconscious. After committing this horrific crime, Ajayi buried Mackenzie's body and some of her belongings in his backyard and threw the rest into the Jordan River. He would burn the body the very next day. 3 days later, on June 20th, Mackenzie's father called the police, as he had not heard from his daughter since she arrived in Salt Lake City. The police immediately started investigating Mackenzie's disappearance, and 11 days after her murder, on June 28, 2019, they showed up at Ajayi's house to interrogate him. They searched his property and found some of Mackenzie's belongings. His neighbors also reported to the police that Ajayi had a bonfire on his property on June 17th that resulted in a horrible smell. Ayoola Ajayi was arrested, and everyone was stunned when he led the police to the place where he had buried Mackenzie in a shallow grave. The news of Mackenzie's death stunned the community, and everyone wanted justice for her murder. An autopsy was carried out which revealed that in addition to everything Ajayi admitted to doing to Mackenzie, she had also suffered blunt force trauma on the left side of her head. This trauma resulted in an intracranial bleed and was the cause of her death. As detectives delved into Ajayi's past, they discovered the disturbing realities he had hidden from the world. Ajayi was a writer, and he had authored a novelacid with various troubling events not too dissimilar to what he had done. The investigators also went through Ajayi's digital records, unearthing a fiendish web of electronic correspondence that included phone records, application messages, and haunting photographic evidence. The trial soon began with Ajayi pleading guilty to first-degree aggravated murder and third-degree desecration of a human body. He had struck a deal with the prosecutors, and in return for pleading guilty to these charges, the prosecutors dropped some additional charges and took the death penalty off the table. But during the trial, Ajayi was also charged with the kidnapping of a woman whom he also met on a dating app. The kidnapping happened in March 2018, and the victim only came forward when she heard the news that Ajayi had been arrested. He was also charged with sexual exploitation of a minor after police officers found multiple photos on his computer that showed he was linked with this. Ajayi, however, pleaded not guilty to this, and the pornography charges were eventually dismissed. But even with all this, the horrific murder of Mackenzie Lueck remained center stage. As prosecutors recounted the events that had taken place on that fateful day, everyone could see for themselves the extent of the brutality in the heart of Ayoola Ajayi. Everyone in the courtroom could also feel the sorrow of Mackenzie's family, whose heart-wrenching impact statements laid bare an agony beyond measure. They spoke of the violence that took away their dearly beloved Mackenzie. In less than a month after the trial began, the judge would dispense Ajayi's fate, a life sentence without the prospect of parole. It was a closing chapter that did little to salve the wounds of those who grieved for Mackenzie. It offered no allure of consolation or solace. The trial, meticulously recorded and scrutinized, sparked public mourning. It was a communal sharing of grief, a channel for the outpouring of collective heartache in the face of such a profound loss. The public followed each step, from the initial shock to the grueling search, the arrest, and the final verdict. It became a shared chapter of pain in the broad narrative of human experience. In the wake of the sentencing, Mackenzie's family chose to spread her spirit of hope and kindness. In her memory, they became advocates for safety precautions, for mindfulness in our digital engagements, and for a continued conversation about the risks of the modern, connected world. Mackenzie's legacy prompts us to reflect on our interactions, both online and offline, with the recognition that behind screens and usernames reside real people with real lives, hopes, and fears. No one knows for sure why Ajayi did what he did. Mackenzie had used the intricate and interconnected web of the digital age to search for love and a connection with another human being, but it was this search that ultimately led to her demise. It also goes to show how far a person can go to hide his true self from everyone. Ajayi was a man once thought of as polite and charming, yet it was this same man who orchestrated a deceptive performance, the culmination of which left a scar on the community that they would never forget. Mackenzie Lueck was a diligent student whose aspirations and dreams were as radiant as the Utah skies under which she'd lived. She had her whole life ahead of her and wanted to share it with someone who cared about her. Sadly, she met a predator looking to exploit the human yearning for connection. It's this dark reality, the perversion of the human need to trust and to be trusted, that makes the case so heartbreaking. Ajayi, exploiting the platforms that so many used to build bridges, instead laid a trap, one that claimed an innocent life. Mackenzie's university colleagues, professors, and fellow students painted the portrait of an individual whose absence created a vacuum that no amount of reasoning could fill. Her academic pursuits would now remain unfulfilled, the research incomplete, the discoveries unmade, and the contributions to society unrealized. This sad story should serve as a call to all to engage every tool at our disposal to protect the innocent, to educate against the vulnerabilities that underlie our connected existence, and to foster a culture where such tragedies are lessened or prevented. Laws and legal proceedings alone can't mend the rift left in the community or in the hearts of those who held Mackenzie dear. But perhaps the lesson drawn from her story can lead to a broader awareness and a cautious understanding of the dangers that can lurk behind our screens and how it is capable of leading to or even preventing future calamities. Because of one man's heartless and cruel actions, the parents of Mackenzie Lueck will never see their daughter get married or have kids. To quote Mackenzie's father, "My daughter Mackenzie Lueck was a sweet, amazing young lady with the world ahead of her. She was a kind-hearted person that cared about others. Now I will not have the opportunity to see her blossom in life." Her cousin said, "This is a nightmare you can't wake up from. I will never be able to forgive what happened to her. I will never forgive the monster who took her life. Never in my life have I felt anger the way I have the last 16 months. Never have I been so fearful for my life because I know how real evil is in this world."
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of Mackenzie Lueck as they continue to try and adapt to the shocking reality of a world without their beloved Mackenzie Lueck.
In honor of Mackenzie and in pursuit of a safer future, we must remain aware of the dangers online and remain proactive in ensuring we stay safe online. We value your feedback, so please share your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more engaging content. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to having you join us in our next video.